I'm Renee from Manic Tackle, and this is one of my buddies, Jim Bartschi from Flyrods. And Jim's just going to talk a little bit about his company, his rods, and what you're up to. So,
great, thanks, Renee. The Scott Flyrod Company was founded in 1974, and for the past 40 years, we've had a singular commitment to building high-performance fly rods. Nothing else. Every rod with the Scott name on it is built start to finish in our shop, from raw materials to finished product, completely handcrafted out of the best materials and out of the best technology, and for one reason only: to make your fishing experience better and more successful.
Cool.
Yeah.
So your shop's whereabouts? You're in China?
No, we're in Montrose, Colorado.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and how about the workers? Are they into the fishing, or?
Yes, almost everyone fishes as often as possible, and for us, with a trout stream just meters out the back door, that means almost every day that the weather permits, somebody's out back catching trout. So
cool.
Yeah.
And we've just been fishing around New Zealand, and to be, you guys obviously American rod. You've become really popular in New Zealand now. How do you find the rods have gone?
Great. I think that we make many rods, both for fresh and saltwater, that are exactly what Aussie and Kiwi anglers are looking for in terms of, successfully executing their fishing. Whether it's dry dropper work, nymph and indicator, dry fly, or saltwater flats or inshore fishing. So
cool.
Yeah.
So big range, eh? So probably what would be cool to know is what's your kind of philosophy on building a rod. I mean, this is, classic one of your rods, G2. I would say when you look at it, it's kind of a really traditional looking rod. Mm-hmm. But what's the technology like? Is it really traditional old technology, or is it kind of modern new technology?
Sure. First of all of our rods are designed for very specific fishing applications. We make very few sort of generalist rods.
Okay.
And because we have been a leader in technology and performance and craftsmanship for so many years, we're always looking to fine-tune and hone each rod series for real specific purposes. So we make, for instance, a series of rods dedicated just to small stream fishing. We make a presentation series of rods. We make a series of rods dedicated to flats fishing and inshore, things like that. Specific two-handed series for both switch and traditional two-handed fishing. A few of the things that we do, I think, that are quite different from other companies is, you'll notice right away that we use a natural finish blank. Mm-hmm. We do that because we don't want to sand off the outer layer of epoxy resin, mm-hmm. or the outermost fibers, graphite fibers that are running unidirectionally along the blank. Okay. A continuous fiber delivers much more performance and stability throughout the rod than one that's being cut by being run through a sander.
Okay.
So little details like that are really important to us. We've been a leader in terms of ferrule design throughout the company's history, and we use both a hollow internal ferrule, mm-hmm. That's built separately and put in the rod. And what that allows us to do, and you can see it on this rod, is have no change in taper. So we have a continuous taper throughout the whole blank, and that creates an exceptionally smooth rod that transitions the power really evenly and progressively through the mm-hmm. rod. It's a fantastic design for a presentation-oriented rod. And then we also developed a sleeve over ferrule that's now become an industry standard. If you think back 15 years ago, most people were using a very high mass, high wall thickness sleeve over ferrule, and you'd see a distinct change at the ferrule that was very bulky. Well, because with our leading graphite technology, we were able to produce a sleeve ferrule that had no change in wall thickness. So you'll see they almost look like a continuous taper rod. And now the rest of the industry has followed us in the last 8 to 10 years. Everyone has redesigned their product to match that. And again, that creates the last thing you want to do is have a ferrule that interrupts either the energy you're putting into the rod to cast the line, or the flex of the rod when you're playing a fish.
Cool.
So we've put a lot of thought into how our rods are connected. And then lastly, an approach you'll see with most all-Scott rods is that we're big believers in thin walls and larger diameters.
Okay.
And there's a real distinct reason for that, and it's a actual mechanical reason, and you can prove this out through engineering, and that is with more surface area, meaning more diameter,
Yeah.
when you accelerate the rod through the casting stroke, it remains more stable and less prone to torquing off axis.
Cool. So,
Which can not only rob you of energy and distance, but certainly of fly placement.
accuracy.
Right, and as you know, one of the keys to successful fishing is fly placement.
Yeah, sure.
And the more precise you can be, the higher your success ratio is. So we're very mindful of making sure that our rods are very stable through the casting plane. But then secondly, the other thing is the thin wall transmits so much more feel through the rod.
Sure.
If you're going for a very skinny diameter, you have to make up for the loss in strength of a small diameter by adding wall thickness. And by adding wall thickness, you effectively deaden the information that's coming down through the rod back to your hand. And so, especially in when you're deep nymphing or check nymphing or something, and you really want to be in touch with what's going on with your flies under the surface, or stripping streamers, times when you can't see the fly, you really want to be able to feel. Also, once the fish is on, you want to be able to feel.
Yeah,
especially if you have lighter tippet.
Yeah.
Because every turn of the fish, every kick of the tail, every head shake, if you can feel that and understand what's going on, you're going to be able to put counter pressure on and be able to land the fish successfully without breaking it off. And that's super important. So you'll see those are some of the unifying principles that run through all of our designs.
How about material? Because a lot of companies are talking about, they've got these catchphrases on their materials and talking about pixie dust in there and nanotechnology and stuff. What have you found on materials?
Well, the first thing is that we don't use any pixie dust.
Yeah.
What we use are the very finest carbon fibers and thermoset epoxy resins that are available. We buy them from the leading aerospace suppliers, companies like Toray and Hexcel. And we're always working with the engineers and chemists at these companies to find out what they're working on and how those materials might fit our applications and help us improve. In the end, material alone doesn't make a great fly rod. It's the application of top materials through good engineering and design combined with great components and workmanship that makes a fine fly rod.
Great.
So that being said, we're really serious about the engineering of our blanks and the use of graphite and epoxy in them to make them top performers. We were the first company to develop and apply bidirectional graphite that went at angles across the blank. And what that helped do, especially in our saltwater and two-handed rods, was not only give them more torsional stability for accuracy and power, but if a fly rod's going to break, if you bend a tube and you put it under load, it's always the side that's in compression, meaning the bottom side of the bend that breaks.
Okay.
So a tube will never blow out in tension on the top side of the bend. The bottom collapses in. Well, by running graphite fibers at cross angles around the blank, we helped keep that cross section round even under tremendous load. So that was a great boon to people who were targeting tuna and other large species in open water, or tarpon on the flats. Species that really put tackle to the test and can really wreck tackle.
Yeah.
We were able to successfully make the first fly rods that allowed people to land these fish on flies. So,
cool.
We also were the first people to develop ultra thin unidirectional graphite scrims that went at 90 degrees to the blank.
Okay.
So now those are some industry standards. A lot of that stuff has now been copied by our competitors and incorporated into their rods and renamed with some clever marketing names.
Yeah, sure.
We're happy to go about our business making great fly rods, rather than try and make up something to stun people with. So.
Well, we're certainly enjoying fishing your rods, and as I said, they've become really popular here, and I know a lot of my friends who are just loving them on the river, and definitely the performance on the river is a big deal. So.
Well, for us, that's everything.